Can one man save Ferrari from another wasted season and return Lewis Hamilton to the fight for glory? What has Frédéric Vasseur done with the SF-25 to suddenly make it seem like Hamilton can finally win? Stay, because what you are going to discover is not being told by even the most specialized media. Frédéric Vasseur is not a man who gives in to panic. Since taking over at Ferrari in 2023, his approach has been methodical, surgical. But the situation it faced in 2025 was different. The SF-25 was not simply a car that required adjustments. It was a structurally wrong concept. In other teams, the instinct would have been to cover up the crisis with technical patches, superficial aerodynamic updates, or speeches of hope. Vasseur did the opposite. In a radical and unusual move in the middle of the season, he decided that Ferrari had to stop the active evolution of the car. This decision was both technical and political. Internally, it meant that the development department would stop focusing resources on the SF-25 and redirect them towards the 2026 car project, which was already in an advanced design phase. It was a public admission that SF-25 was not going to fight for titles, but it was also an act of pure leadership. Instead of continuing to invest in a structure that offered no guarantees of improvement, Vasseur opted to put all efforts into building a winning base now under the new technical regulations that will come into force in 2026. But that was not the only masterstroke. With development halted, Vasseur did not sit back. He personally oversaw an internal restructuring in the technical team, consolidating his control over key decisions. Loic Serra, recently arrived from Mercedes, was given the autonomy to carry out the last fundamental changes to the car, with a clear mandate to correct what could be corrected without illusions of miracles. A critical update was then prioritized. A review of the rear suspension, whose deficiency was compromising the dynamic behavior of the car on straights and shifts. The solution was to introduce a profound modification to the rear upper arm. Ferrari designed new reinforced fixings directly from the gearbox, with the aim of increasing structural rigidity without adding unnecessary weight. This allowed better control of the rear vertical axis, minimizing the resonance frequency that induced porpoising. At the same time, the geometry was reconfigured to improve anti-squat, that is, the car's ability to prevent the rear end from sinking under acceleration. The result was immediate on the track. More stability under braking, more consistent traction, and for the first time this season, freedom to ride with a more aggressive rake without fear of punishing the car's floor. This competitive renaissance was no coincidence. It was the result of invisible, constant work in simulators, technical meetings, and data analysis. It was also a show of professional humility on the part of a champion who could have hidden behind excuses, but who chose to rebuild himself from scratch. And most importantly, it was the sign that when Hamilton finds stability in a car, even if it is not the fastest, he can become a real threat to anyone on the grid. Ferrari arrives at the 2025 United States Grand Prix in Austin with a radically different posture than the one it showed in the first races of the year. It is no longer the team that improvised every weekend, nor the one that arrived with empty promises of miraculous updates. It is now a structure that, having survived its own technical collapse, has rebuilt its operational foundation on solid principles. And although the SF-25 has not received new parts since Spa, its behavior has been refined to a level of consistency that, in the hands of drivers like Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, can make a difference when the rest of the grid is still searching for stability. The key to this new approach is not a sudden gain in pure speed, but a deep understanding of the car. In Maranello, technical development is already completely focused on the 2026 project, but that has not prevented every possible parameter of the current SF-25 from being optimized. The simulations prior to Austin show a car that no longer requires extreme compensation such as lift and coast, nor is it forced to run outside its ideal mechanical ranges. The rear stiffness has been calibrated, the weight distribution is better balanced, and the team has finally found a reasonable correlation between simulator, wind tunnel, and real track behavior. Furthermore, Ferrari has adopted a new strategic attitude. They are no longer just looking for immediate results. They are executing full race weekends, planned with intelligence and patience, aware that at this stage of the season it is not so much about reinventing the car as maximizing its performance in every detail. Vasseur has redefined the criteria for success. A car that was previously unable to maintain a constant pace during a stint can now compete without compromising reliability or technical regulations. It is an invisible victory, but vital. This change has also allowed Hamilton to focus all his attention on what really matters, extracting pure performance at key moments. You are no longer wasting energy adapting to a chaotic car. Instead, he is fine-tuning his style, communicating more clearly with his engineers, and using his experience to anticipate changing conditions, something especially relevant at a circuit like Austin, where the combination of fast corners, technical sections, and uneven asphalt demands absolute versatility from the car. The Texan track could also be the ideal setting for Ferrari to shine again. The Coda layout punishes errors in the rear suspension and rewards stability in high-speed changes of direction, exactly the areas where the SF-25 has been optimized. It is not a guarantee of victory, but it is a concrete opportunity to be in the real fight for the top positions. In particular, high-load corners such as the Snake sector and the climb to turn 1 will allow Hamilton to gauge how much his connection with the car has really progressed. And there is an additional factor that cannot be ignored. The internal dynamic between Hamilton and Leclerc has evolved. What began as a relationship based on expectation and comparison has become a strategic alliance. Both are contributing to the same goal, returning Ferrari to its contender status. They no longer run against each other, but rather as part of a machinery that is beginning to mesh, with complementary roles and cross-feedback. In Austin, that unity can be decisive if conditions become unpredictable or if strategy requires on-the-fly adaptability. In short, Ferrari does not arrive in Austin with a revolutionary car. He arrives with an included car. He arrives with a driver like Hamilton, who has completed his transition from outsider to internal reference. It arrives with a technical team that, for the first time in years, works with clarity of purpose. And that, in Formula One, often weighs more than any aerodynamic improvement. The 2025 United States Grand Prix will not only mark a turning point for Ferrari sportingly, but also symbolically. It is the first time all season that the team reaches a weekend without dragging a narrative of crisis or improvisation. What's on the table now is a legitimate and exciting question. Can Lewis Hamilton really win again? And if so, will this be the beginning of a new era of sustained competitiveness for the Scuderia, or simply a respite before returning to the abyss? The situation is unique because there is no inflated expectation. Ferrari has not promised revolution. What it offers is something more credible: stability, continuous learning, and an environment in which both the car and the drivers can operate within a rational range of performance. And that, for a team that until weeks ago did not understand its own machine, is a monumental transformation. All of this has been possible through brave decisions, by assuming mistakes instead of denying them, and by betting on the future without abandoning the present. Frédéric Vasseur has shown that leading does not always mean making noise. Sometimes it means making tough decisions when no one else wants to make them, letting go of the pressure of the short term and building the foundation for something that can last more than one career cycle. He has redesigned the technical team from the inside, let the car breathe, and given Hamilton the environment he had been looking for years. One where his experience and sensitivity lead the way. Formula One does not forgive those who hesitate, but it also does not reward those who accelerate without direction. In that delicate balance, Ferrari seems to have found its center. Austin may not bring victory, but the stakes are much higher, the validation of a path. If the SF-25 performs as expected, if Hamilton confirms his symbiosis with the car, and if Leclerc continues to consistently contribute points, Ferrari will have achieved the most difficult thing in this sport, turning a structural crisis into an opportunity for reconstruction. And now the question is for you. Do you think Hamilton will be able to win in Austin with this new Ferrari? Are you seeing real signs that the Scuderia is changing its destiny, or is this just a temporary illusion? Leave your opinion in the comments and let's talk like true fans of this sport. If you are interested in understanding Formula One beyond the podium and the headlines, this is your space. Subscribe if you don't want to miss the next technical analysis, race strategies, and everything that happens on and off the track.